In 1965, Ralph Nader famously wrote that U.S. autos manufactured at the time were unsafe at any speed. This title launched his career, making him a household name, got safety regulations passed in the U.S., and eventually led to the mess of the 2000 election between George W. Bush and Al Gore and Ralph Nader. But enough history lessons. What about the future? Will Teslas eventually be considered safe at any speed? And if so, why and how soon? Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All. So first of all, I have to do a quick aside on Twitter. I realized that my personal account, not my Dr. Know-It-All account, but I joined in 2009, and for the longest time I thought Twitter was kind of a little bit of a useless type of social media platform, but it's actually become quite important and kind of critical to this channel in an interesting way, because it's a way of keeping track of a bunch of people and what's going on very currently. So it is rather interesting how much I've changed my opinion of Twitter since getting my Dr. Know-It-All account back in February of this year. And by the way, if you're not following me on Twitter, you should be. I'll put the handle right here. It's also in the description of pretty much every episode, so you can just search for it and click the link. So anyway, this video is more or less related to the last two videos I've done, and I'll put links to them up here. But basically, I had thought yesterday that the models S and X were going to be the first ones released without actual physical radar units in them by Tesla, and the June 3rd event was going to sort of proclaim that loudly. Interestingly enough, within minutes of the video being released, I found out that I was actually right but wrong at the same time. So Tesla is going to be releasing cars without the radar built in, but they're actually going to be models 3 and Y first. At this point, they say the S and X is still going to have the radar in them. We will see by June 3rd whether that's the case or not. I actually kind of think that might not be the case, but at the very least, the S and X are going to get 350 kilowatt charging, which is kind of crazy, and also the version 11 software update for the UI. So that will be really cool in its own right. All right, so let's first start with Tesla's official statement that says the Model 3 and Y will be the first, or rather might actually be the first already, cars in production and being delivered to customers right now potentially, because they say in May. And by the way, this memo is titled Tesla Vision, and I want some kudos because I came up with that a couple of months ago in a video I did. All right, so on to the press release, which is probably not a press release since they don't have a PR team, but whatever. The information release that they have. Transitioning to Tesla Vision. We are continuing the transition to Tesla Vision, our camera-based autopilot system. Beginning with deliveries in May of 2021, which is now, Model 3 and Model Y vehicles built for the North American market will no longer be equipped with radar. Instead, these will be the first Tesla vehicles to rely on camera vision and neural net processing to deliver autopilot, full self-driving, and certain active safety features. Customers who ordered before May 2021 and are matched to a car with Tesla Vision will be notified of the change through their Tesla accounts prior to delivery. For a short period during the transition, cars with Tesla Vision may be delivered with some features temporarily limited or inactive, including auto steer will be limited to a maximum speed of 75 miles per hour and a longer minimum follow distance. Smart Summon, if equipped, and emergency lane departure avoidance may be disabled at delivery. In the weeks ahead, we'll start restoring these features via a series of over-the-air software updates. All other available autopilot and full self-driving features will be active at delivery depending on order configuration. All new Model S and Model X, as well as all vehicles built for markets outside of North America, will continue to be equipped with radar and will have radar-supported autopilot functionality until we determine the appropriate time to transition those vehicles to Tesla Vision. So that's a big statement, but the sort of TLDR is that they're removing radar from Models 3 and Models Y in the North American market. In other words, cars that are manufactured for North America. And of course, that comes with the corollary that they're going to have to use the new version 9 software that has not yet been released in order to make this happen. And to add to this, let's read a tweet from Elon Musk from yesterday. Pure Vision Autopilot is now rolling out in North America. There will be an update of this production release in 2 weeks, and that was May 25th when that happened, so June 10th-ish. Then Full Self-Driving Beta version 9.0, also Pure Vision, a week later. FSD subscription will be enabled around the same time. So what these two things together tell us is that Tesla has definitely gone all in on vision, but we sort of knew that before, but they've done it in a much more aggressive time frame than anyone, including me, suspected was going to happen, especially considering it's going to be their mass-released vehicles they're doing it on first. And by the way, in a quick calculation that I did, I think that having no radar and potentially losing the weight of the radar could potentially save 1 to 2% of the energy usage as you're driving, and so that could actually add for my Tesla long range, 326 mile rated thing, thing, it could add 3 to 6 miles of range to the car just not running the radar, which is kind of interesting. And of course, we'll have to see if that happens when the new Models 3 and Y come out. So this is really fascinating information, but the question kind of arises as to why the timing is happening now and why they're doing their mass market vehicles first as opposed to their more specialized vehicles in the Model S and Model X. Well, Max on Twitter has an idea about that. She says, why I think Tesla rushed to remove radar. Elon pushed back FSD beta to version 9 to remove radar. Most likely expected a part shortage, so moved quickly to go full vision, even delaying the button. That's why the new Model 3 and Y won't include the radar and will be software limited at first. Full vision was going to happen eventually, but this explains the rush and explains why FSD beta was delayed, because they needed all hands on deck to remove radar before part shortage affected production. I responded to this tweet saying, interesting, relates to my video from today, so do you have evidence that radar in particular is going to be in short supply? To which Max responded, I have trouble getting some TOF chips for my day job. Not the same supplier, but my supplier told me that any chip used in military and civil at the same time has huge back orders. My guess is that Continental has trouble getting chips and delaying shipping modules to Tesla. So of course we have talked about all of this before. Logistics is a huge problem. I did a video on how amazing Tesla is with their logistics, but also about how the chip shortage is a massive, massive problem right now. And it could be that Tesla actually realized that these radar chips are going to be a big problem and a sticking point, and it's going to reduce their ability to produce cars. And that would explain why the Model 3 and the Model Y were the first ones, because they are by far the bulk of the cars that Tesla produces right now. And of course, this explains number one, why the button wasn't released on time. Number two, why version 8.3 of the software was abandoned for version 9, which is completely vision. And of course, the all hands on deck feel for the AI work that's been done in the past couple of months. And this also might explain the rash of minor improvement software updates that have been hitting my Model Y recently. It might actually be a kind of stealth mode vision versus radar validation that they're actually putting out in kind of stealth mode, like I said. So that what they're doing is they're saying there's these minor improvements, but what they're doing is they're trying out different ways of using just vision and validating it versus the radar data that they're getting out of the current fleet of vehicles. So that would be my guess. I just don't see the reason why they've gotten something like, I think it's either been 4 or 5 minor fix updates that have happened in the past like 2 weeks. And that seems really excessive, especially considering there were no updates before that for like a month and a half. So anyway, this might explain the whole timing thing and why it's all happening. And it's very exciting because it really could be rolling out to the whole fleet, hopefully in 2 weeks. Of course, it's Elon time, so it might be 9 weeks or 10 weeks or something like that. But anyway, I think if they're actually releasing hardware like cars that don't have radar, all of this stuff has got to work now. So I think Elon time might actually be elided and we might get it soon. So I'm really hoping for mid-June. Come on, Elon, make this happen. We're moving to a different house, which is a lovely house. And like I've talked about before, it's got a great new studio and everything. So it's going to be great for recording videos. But the one downside is it's kind of an icky commute to get to work. And so if I can have my car drive me to work starting in August, that will be amazing. But anyway, circling back to the safe at any speed conversation that I started this with, let's take a look at a recent tweet from Andrej Karpathy, who is the lead of Tesla's AI software team. Yes, vision is extremely information rich. 8x surround 1.2 megapixels at 36 Hz is a lot of constraints on state of the world, can be processed at 10 times better latencies than what human meat computer can ever hope for with full attention. We live in a funny silver, I assume that means sliver of time, where it's a contest. So let's unpack this because there's a lot of information in this tweet. Number one, his numbers mean that Teslas are processing 345.6 million pixels of information per second, and that is a lot of data to ingest and analyze in real time. Filtering has got to be a huge job, right? Trying to identify what is important in a scene and what is unimportant. I'm kind of blown away by those numbers, and it really is amazing. And remember that we're talking about 4D now. I've talked about this a lot in the past. We're no longer talking about slivers of information, but taking all 8 of the cameras, fusing them together, and then creating video out of that and looking at a sliding window of that video. That's what the AI is doing right now, and that is remarkable that they're able to do this in real time now. And by the way, 36 Hertz which means 36 times per second they're able to do this. That's actually remarkable because the stuff that I've seen previously said about 17 frames per second. So they've actually somehow managed to double the speed of this processing, all the while ingesting more information and doing more with it all. So incredible work, Tesla AI team. You guys are clearly the best in the world. Of course, 10 times better latencies means that the computer can process things actually 10 times faster than us humans, which is a good thing because of course that means it's going to be safer because it can process the data 10 times faster than we meet computers or humans. And finally, we live in a funny sliver of time, or silver of time. I don't know, maybe he does mean silver of time. What that means is right now we're kind of on parity with computers. Not that we're the same as computers, but we're on parity. As Nedser says, it's a question of balance. Current neural networks are way less good at vision processing than human brains, but vision systems use many HD cameras looking in all directions. Sensor input greatly exceeds human, but processing power is less. On balance, one can make up for the other. We all know, or if you don't, you are wrong, that neural network ability will increase exponentially over coming years. If neural networks plus cameras can already get close to human level, it will not be long before they exceed human ability. At some point, as NN vision processing gets close to human ability, so the overall system ability will exceed humans. Since NN ability is still in infancy, it is inevitable that eventually vision systems will become superhuman. So basically this means even though human brains and neural networks have different capabilities, right now they're pretty darn close to matched in terms of being even, but neural networks are going to improve way more rapidly than human evolution. So that means we truly are on the cusp of a revolution, the day when our cars can drive us around town better than we can do it ourselves. If nothing else, due to our human nature of being impaired somehow when driving. Like we go too fast for our reactions, we're too inattentive, we have reduced abilities due to chemicals, like drugs and alcohol and stuff, or just exhaustion. And again, according to leading computer vision scientists, we are at least close to parity with human levels right now. And Tesla data shows it's already better in many circumstances, like orders of magnitude better. So what does that mean about the future? What about in 2 years from now, or 5 years from now, or 10 years from now? Will Teslas be able to drive themselves as fast as the cars are built to run? Think about that for a second. Right now, a Tesla is built to run at about 145 miles per hour, depending on which model you have. But of course, legal limitations reduce us to like 70 or 75, or in some places 80 miles an hour. But anyway, around half of the actual built-in capability of the car. So what if these computers get so good that they're able to actually drive at 140 miles per hour no problem, and they can be just as safe or safer than human beings driving half the speed? That's pretty remarkable stuff to think about. Of course, we also have to think about what about the human drivers on the road? If they have to have much lower speed limits like the current ones, there's going to be a huge delta V, or velocity differentiation, between the computer-driven cars and the human-driven cars if computer-driven cars are allowed to drive faster. So at that point, will Teslas actually be safe at any speed? And also, how long before humans are not even allowed to drive anymore? On certain roads at first, like highways, and then overall. These are fascinating questions, and I honestly think there is going to come a time very soon where humans are just not going to be allowed to drive anymore. I've said it before, and I'll keep on saying it, humans are dangerous behind the wheel, and if computers can do it better, they should be allowed to do it instead of us humans. And the really cool part is that all of this could commence in earnest in just a couple of weeks, or a lot longer if Elon Time has anything to do with it. All right, I hope you found this episode fun and informative. If you did, please like it so other people can find it. And of course, consider subscribing if you want to see more of this. As always, a huge shout out to my patrons on Patreon. You all are wonderful. Thank you all so much for your support. I really do appreciate it. And don't forget about WeBull, which is a stock and crypto trading platform. If you look in the description, you click on the link and open an account, you get one stock valued at up to $250. And if you fund the account with $100 or more, you get a second free stock valued at up to $1,600. So that is a fantastic deal. Check it out in the description. And of course, don't forget about our merch store, which has awesome t-shirts like Tesla Rockets for the People, Don't Mess with Tesla, other t-shirts, tumblers, mugs, etc. So check out the link in the description. And finally, don't forget we are both Tesla and Amazon affiliates. If you look in the description, you can see how clicking a link and going shopping helps the channel. Thank you. And as always, feel free to ask me questions in the comments or at my email address, which is drknowitallknows@gmail.com. Till next time, bye-bye.